my idea is simply this. America was built by and for the white Christian people of this nation.
Tonight, a neo-Nazi in Pennsylvania, a small rural town near the New York border, splitting apart by a growing movement filled with hate. The man at the center of it says Trump's election has emboldened him and his followers.
Are you a neo-Nazi?
Do I embrace it? I don't try to push it away.
Well, you're wearing a swastika on your shirt.
Exactly.
Donald Trump facing growing backlash tonight to his dinner last week with prominent white nationalist Nick Fuentes at his private Mar-a-Lago club. The Holocaust-denying podcaster Fuentes arriving at Mar-a-Lago as a guest of rapper Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, himself engulfed in controversy for past anti-Semitic remarks.
Governor, I want to ask about the spike in hate against Jews in the United States. You told the New York Times that you believe former President Donald Trump's, quote, intolerance for everybody has contributed to the surge in anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. How so?
Well, look, when you show intolerance towards everyone, which is what he does, you give permission as a leader for others to have their intolerance come out.
What's up, everybody? Major retired Richard Ojeda here, and Chris Christie joined CNN's Dana Bash over the weekend and took aim at Donald Trump and several prestigious Ivy League universities over rising anti-Semitism and violent attacks on campuses. Christie is referring to a civil rights investigation that was launched against 7 schools. There were numerous allegations of anti-Semitism and Islamophobia on campus. The Department of Education looked into it.
Intolerance towards anyone encourages intolerance towards everyone. And that's exactly what's going on here.
Donald Trump has been spreading misinformation from the very start. Remember when he made the announcement that the Hamas attack was funded by U.S. tax dollars and that Israel was very unprepared for the attacks? This premeditated disinformation scheme was meant to stir up the undereducated and get them to donate to his re-election campaign. He followed those lies up with, if he were president, none of these things would be happening. This is the type of hook that typically gets his cult members to fall for his garbage. The guy who sits on a golden toilet and flies around in a private jet is indeed a con artist that tricks his followers into giving him money.
And that's been going on for quite some time, not just with Donald Trump, but with university professors on some of our most elite campuses in this country, with university administrators and presidents who have been unwilling to stand up against anti-Semitism on their campuses, most particularly. And there should be no campus in this country where a Jewish student is afraid to leave their dorm, a Jewish student is afraid to go to their classes, a Jewish student is afraid to go to even have a meal in the dining hall.
When you are a leader and you project intolerance toward others, it gives your followers the permission to act the way that you do. That's what Christie said. This is not a difficult argument to make. Christie acknowledged that there have been a lot of people who contributed to the rise in campus violence. Donald Trump's intolerant language and his intolerant conduct give others permission to act the same. That's what Christie asserted. But Christie also blamed universities who have been unwilling to stand up against anti-Semitism on their campuses. This point should be evaluated a little deeper to determine whose side Chris Christie is actually on. The 4 top directives that students want officials to take is to start with banning student groups that incite anti-Semitism from campus. Students want the enforcement of school rules equally for all groups. They want schools to use the definition of anti-Semitism that is from the International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance. That definition states that anti-Semitism is a certain perception of Jews which may be expressed as hatred towards Jews. Rhetorical and physical manifestations of anti-Semitism are directed towards Jewish or non-Jewish individuals and or their property, towards Jewish community institutions and religious facilities. The 4th thing that students want is for university staff to be educated on that definition and demanding officials publicly declare their goal to combat anti-Semitism in all forms. If you get the opportunity to go to college, you would expect to feel safe. You should be able to go about your day without feeling ashamed of who you are. A college campus is the last place that anyone should be feeling unwelcome because of religious beliefs or live in a fear of indiscriminatory violence. But several events have stood out in national headlines. There have been a hotbed of emotions and a lot of finger pointing. So when Chris Christie points the finger at universities, it's something to evaluate. Right-wing think tanks like the Heritage Foundation are blaming DEI for the upward trend in violence, but this couldn't be further from the truth. Violence has been on the rise, but it's not because of the woke agenda. Extremist Republicans want their supporters to think that public education is under attack by liberal policies and have been trying to vilify diversity, equality, and inclusion as a cause of violence that has been documented on college campuses across the country. That argument is garbage, and it begs to question the underlying motivation that Chris Christie has in speaking out on education in America. He's telling the truth about Donald Trump, but who is he standing up for when he calls out college administrators? Is Chris Christie committed to civil rights and diversity in education, or is he aligned with far-right jackaloons that want to blame DEI for recent attacks on college campuses? It is definitely something to consider. Stay tuned, folks. Sappers clear the way, airborne all the way.